The jungle moon of Varix was a place of death. Thick green mist curled between razor-leafed trees. Strange beasts howled in the distance. The air smelled like copper and old blood. For most humans, this place meant one thing: you don't come back. But Captain Elias Ward wasn't most humans. His armor was cracked. His left leg bled through a torn combat suit. His pulse rifle had only 3 charges left. Still, he moved forward, one step at a time. Around him, the wreckage of the last battle lay scattered. Burned mechs, shattered gunships. Dodd is human, an alien torn apart by plasma fire. It had been a trap. Varkali had planned every second of it. Now Elias was alone again. He found shelter under a rocky overhang and crouched down, scanning the area. His visor flickered. Static, no comes. No drones, no backup. Just silence and a faint signal. Something weak and old, but alien. A beacon. Not human, Elias muttered to himself. Varkali frequency. Why would they leave a signal running? Curiosity won. He limped toward the source. Through trees that shimmered with bioluminescent fungus, through mud that pulled at his boots like claws. He came to a small clearing and stopped. A stasis pod sat at the center, half buried in vines and dirt. Old, maybe years. Covered in strange glowing runes. It was Varkali tech, but it had no guards, no protection. Just the pod, waiting. Elias approached, rifle raised. He circled the pod. No traps. A single power light blinked soft blue. He wiped. Grime from the glass and looked inside. A woman, not human. She had deep violet skin, smooth and marked with silver tribal patterns. Her hair floated like strands of shadow in the preservation gel. Her face was alien, longer than human. Sharp in shape, but beautiful, almost regal. She looked peaceful. Elias frowned. Who the hell are you? Then his visor beeped. Movement, 12 signatures, fast, closing in. Varkali kill team, he dove. Behind the pod, just as plasma bolts tore through the trees, the leaves exploded. A trunk shattered. Elias rolled and fired one shot clean, dropped a Varkali scout. He dashed to cover and counted his charges. 2 left. They moved like shadows, hissing. Through comes, using high ground.
Ow.
But Elias had fought them before. He knew their tricks. One dropped from above Elias, turned and buried his plasma blade into its chest. Another tried to flank. He ducked, rolled, grabbed its rifle, and fired upward. The headless body dropped beside him. He moved like a ghost. Silent, fast, precise. This wasn't a battle. It was a hunt. When the last 2 tried to flee, he let one go, but only so the survivor could spread the fear. The other he caught by the throat and broke its neck. Silence returned. Elias stood over the last body, breathing hard. His armor hissed as cooling systems tried to keep up. His leg throbbed. Then he heard the hiss of the pod. The lid slid open slowly. The gel drained. The alien woman sat up, blinking, breathing fast. Her eyes locked onto Elias. Deep silver. Shining with something ancient, she spoke in a soft, melodic voice. You killed them. Elias raised his rifle. Who are you? She didn't flinch. You are not one of them. And yet, you bear the scent of battle, fire, honor. I asked you a question. She stood slowly, her body tall and graceful. She wore only a simple armored bodysuit, tight and marked with golden thread. I am Velixa, Queen of the Ashen Crown. Or, I was before they betrayed me. Elias narrowed his eyes. Royalty. Yes, but I am no threat to you, human. Yeah, I've heard that before. She looked around at the dead. They came to finish what they started. You stopped them. Elias lowered the rifle slightly. I didn't do it for you. Of course not. You did it because you are who you are, Elias paused. You were sending that beacon. Yes, it was designed to activate if loyal forces remained. I didn't expect a human. I'm full of surprises. She tilted her head. You fight like our elite, but your eyes, they are tired. War gets old, and yet you still fight. Elias turned away. You're free now. Find your own way out, unarmed and alone, on a moon crawling with assassins. You Varkali started this war. Velixa stepped closer. Not I. My faction sought peace. They saw that as weakness. He studied her. Something in her voice wasn't pride. It was pain. You expect me to believe you're the good queen in all this? No, she said. I expect nothing. I will earn your trust. Elias chuckled darkly. You'll be waiting a long time. She smiled faintly. Time is something I had plenty of in that prison. He sighed. Fine. You come with me, you follow orders. You slow me down, I leave you. Agreed. They moved through the jungle together, silent but alert. Elias kept his rifle ready. Velixa moved like she was born in shadows. They found a cave at nightfall. He set a small fire. She sat opposite him, studying the flames. You didn't ask why they betrayed me? She said. I figured you'd tell me eventually. I wanted peace with your kind. The warlords saw it as treason. They locked me away and told the people. I was dead. And now, they will hunt me and you. Elias nodded slowly. Let them come. She looked up. You would fight my enemies? No. I'll fight my enemies. If yours get in the way, I won't miss. She smiled again. But this time it wasn't soft. It was fierce. I see now why the old prophecies spoke of a human warrior, one who would walk through fire to wake the queen. He gave her a look. Prophecies? Ancient nonsense, perhaps. Or maybe fate. I don't believe in fate. Then believe in survival. Together we may both get what we want. He stared into the fire, the weight of years behind his eyes. I want to go home. Then help me take back what was stolen, she said, and I'll help you leave this moon alive. For a moment he considered it. Her enemies had already made him theirs. All right, he said finally. We fight our way out, but I'm not your knight. No, she said softly. You are something far more dangerous. The sun on Verixnine was more like a red eye than a star. It rose slowly, casting blood-colored light through the jungle canopy. Birds with metal-colored wings shrieked overhead. Captain Elias Ward didn't care. He was already awake. He checked. His rifle, his blade, and the small fire they'd built the night before. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. Velixa sat on a flat rock nearby, her violet skin glowing in the sunrise. She didn't speak. Her silver eyes were open but far away, lost in thought. You don't sleep much, Elias said. She didn't look at him. It's hard to sleep after spending years frozen in a pod. My body is free now, my mind. Not yet. Elias nodded. He understood that feeling too well. We move in 10, he said. If there's another kill team nearby, I want distance between us. Where are we going? She asked. There's a Terran drop zone west of here. If it wasn't destroyed, there might be supplies. It's maybe a work-income unit. Do you plan to call your people? If I can reach them? Yes. Alexa stood and stretched her arms. They may not answer. Your kind thinks this moon is lost. Then I'll find another way off. I always do. They started walking. The jungle was thick, and every step had to be made with care. Elias cut through vines and ducked under branches. Velixa followed closely, her movement silent. She had no weapon. Elias had offered her a spare knife the night before. She refused. I don't need a blade to kill, she had said calmly. Now, as they moved, Elias watched her from the corner of his eye. She was graceful, almost too graceful. Every move was planned. Every glance had weight. She wasn't just a queen. She was a predator. You said you were betrayed, Elias said as they walked. Why? Velix's voice was quiet. Varkali Empire was falling apart. Warlords grew strong. A council feared the future. I spoke of peace, a treaty with the Terrans. You were losing the war. You were bleeding on both sides. Peace would save lives. But the others wanted conquest, power, so they staged a coup, locked me in that pod, and told the people I had died in glory. Typical. They told them I died fighting humans, she said with a bitter smile. The irony is not lost. On me. Elias looked ahead. And now? Now, I take back my throne. Just like that. Not alone, she said. But I have something they don't. What's that, you? Stop walking. I'm not your soldier, Queen. She stepped in front of him. You are not, but you are dangerous. You are fast, clever, and fearless. You killed my enemies without knowing who I was. They were trying to kill me, and yet you won against trained killers. Alone, Elias didn't respond. Started walking again. Velixa followed. By midday, they reached the remains of the drop-dash zone. It had once been a Terran forward base. Now, it was a graveyard. Burned tents, rusted crates, bones half buried in the dirt. Elias moved through it like a ghost. He checked for traps, power, supplies. He found a half-broken comm unit and a solar battery. With just enough charge, he connected it and sent out a ping. Nothing. Dead signal, he muttered. No one's listening. Velixa knelt near a broken console. She traced strange symbols. On the metal, this base was abandoned in fear. Elias looked at her. How would you know? The way the crates are open. No order, no discipline. Something scared your people. Maybe it was your people. Maybe, she said, standing. Or maybe something worse. He didn't ask what she meant. They rested for a while, eating protein rations and drinking from Elias's purifier. Then they moved on again, but they didn't get far. A deep rumble shook the ground. The trees trembled. Birds scattered. Elias raised his rifle. Something big's coming. Velix's eyes narrowed. A beast, not natural. Warlord built. Moments later, it appeared. A giant war beast, part machine, part reptile, crashed through the trees. 10 meters tall, covered in armor. Eyes like burning coals. It roared, and the sound cracked branches. Elias didn't wait. He fired. The blast hit its face, but barely made it flinch. Move, he shouted. They ran. The beast charged, crushing trees. Underfoot, plasma turrets mounted on its back fired bolts that exploded around them. Elias ducked behind a boulder. Velixa slid beside him. You said you didn't need a weapon, he growled. I don't. She stepped out, before Elias could stop her. She raised her arms and began to chant in a strange alien tongue. The beast slowed, growled, confused. Then it roared again and charged. Elias jumped from cover, threw a sticky grenade at its side, and ran. The grenade exploded. The blast hit a fuel port, and flame tore through the beast's left leg. It stumbled. Elias climbed onto a tree limb, leapt, and landed on the beast's back. He drove his plasma blade into a vent. Sparks flew. The beast reared back. Elias held on. Then Velixa appeared below. She shouted something in her language and the beast froze. Elias stabbed downward. The blade pierced the power core. The machine beast exploded in a flash of light. When the smoke cleared, Elias rolled off the burning shell, coughing. His armor was blackened. His blade gone. Velixa walked up, helping him to his feet. You okay? She asked. He nodded slowly. I've had worse. Fight like a storm, she said, and you speak to monsters. She smiled. They were bred from my people's DNA. I can still touch their minds. Useful trick? They moved away from the wreckage. The forest was quiet again. The birds didn't return. That was sent for you, Elias said. Yes, Velixa replied. They know I live. They'll send more. I hope they do. He looked at her. You want a war? No. I want justice. Leah shook his head. There's no such thing. Only survival. And let's survive together. At night, they found an old cave used by hunters. It was dry and warm. Elias patched his wounds and sat against the wall. Velixa sat across from him. Why do you keep fighting? She asked. He looked at her because stopping got people killed. She nodded. You lost someone. He didn't. Answer, she leaned forward. You don't trust easily. But you saved me, risked your life. That tells me more than your silence ever could. He met her gaze. You talk like a queen. I am one. Prove it. Shh. She stood and walked too. Him I will. She took a deep breath. In Varkali law, she said, a warrior who defends the royal blood is owed a gift of honor. I don't need a gift. You will. She placed her hand on his shoulder. I name you my champion, she said, in voice and in truth, until I fall or you walk away. Elias stared at her. You really believe in that prophecy? Believe in what I see, and I see a man who doesn't run. He didn't smile. But he didn't pull away either. You've got a long way to go, Queen. So do you, human. The morning after the beast attack was quiet. Too quiet. Captain Elias Ward opened his eyes first, as always. The fire was out, and the cave air was cold. His body ached, especially his side where armor plates had cracked. Till he stood up, checked his gear, and scanned the jungle outside. Nothing moved. No birds, no animals. Even the wind felt like it was holding its breath. Inside the cave, Velixa sat cross-legged, eyes closed. She wasn't asleep. She was meditating again, humming low in her throat. The sound made Elias uneasy. It wasn't human. It didn't belong here. He didn't interrupt. He waited. After a moment, her eyes opened. They're coming, she said. Who? Elias asked, already checking his rifle. My people, she answered softly. But not friends. A war party. Elias tensed. You sense them? They're not hiding? They want us to see them. Elias stepped outside the cave, climbed a rock, and looked west. After a few minutes he saw them, a group of Arkali warriors, 10, maybe 12, marching in perfect lines. They wore heavy armor and held tall weapons glowing with plasma. At the front, a large figure strode with purpose. He was huge, almost 7 feet tall, covered in dark silver armor, with a jagged red cape flowing behind him. His face was hidden under a helmet shaped like a skull. Who's that? Elias asked. Velixa stepped beside him and stared at the figure for a long time. General Korth, my former bodyguard. Doesn't look like he's here to rescue you. No, she said coldly. He's the one who betrayed me. Elias and Velixa waited at the edge of the clearing. The war party stopped 20 meters away. General Korth stepped forward and removed his helmet. His face was harsh, scarred with pale blue eyes that burned with pride and anger. He looked at Velixa with a sneer. You're alive, he said. The rumors were true. And you're still a traitor, Velixa replied calmly. Korth looked her up and down. You were supposed to rot in that pod forever. I was freed. Korth turned his gaze to Elias. By a human. Elias didn't flinch. Got a problem with that? Grinned. No. I think it's funny. It's a so-called queen hiding behind a Terran soldier. He's more of a warrior than you'll ever be, Velixa said sharply. Korth laughed. I didn't come here to fight. Not yet. I came with a message. He reached into a pouch and threw a small orb at their feet. It floated into the air and glowed. Projection appeared. It was a hologram of a tall, cruel-looking female Varkali with black armor and glowing red eyes. Elias stepped back slightly. Valix's face went hard. Who's that? Elias asked. High Warlord Akara, she said. She's the one who rules now. The one who took everything from me. The hologram spoke. To the false queen. You were a fool to rise again. Your bloodline is broken, your title forgotten. But I offer you a gift. Surrender now, and I will make your death swift. Continue this path, and I will burn every jungle, every rock, every creature you call ally, and bring me the human, alive. I wish to study what makes him so dangerous. The message ended. The orb fell to the ground and blinked once before turning black. Elias stared at it, and looked at Korth. That's it? Threats and bluster? Korth smirked. You should take it seriously, human. She controls half the galaxy. It controls fear, Velixa said, but fear has cracks. Korth narrowed his eyes. Your arrogance hasn't changed. Neither has your cowardice, she replied. Korth turned to go. I will not kill you today. I want you to run. What? You two struggle. So when I tear your throne apart, it will feel sweeter. He put his helmet back on. Next time, there won't be warnings. The war party marched away. Elias watched them vanish into the trees. Well, that was friendly. Lixa was silent. For a moment, then she said, We need to move. Now. They traveled fast and quiet. Elias led the way, scanning for drones and traps. Velixa followed, her senses reaching ahead like invisible wires. She had changed since the attack. Her face was harder, her tone sharper. She wasn't just a queen in exile anymore. She was preparing for war. That night, they camped in a grove of glowing blue trees. It was beautiful, calm, silent, and strange. Elias cleaned his gear. Velixa sat beside a tree, eyes on the stars. "Why did Korth come in person?" Elias asked. "He wanted me to feel small, weak. He wanted to see fear in my eyes." "Did he?" "No," Elias nodded. "Ikara wants you too," Velixa added. "That's dangerous. I've been hunted before, not like this." "Fear you, Elias, not just for what you've done, but what you might become." He raised an eyebrow. "And what's that?" "A symbol," he frowned. "I'm not interested in being anyone's symbol," she smiled. "Neither was I until I became one." He looked away. "We need allies." "I know where to find them," she said. "Who?" "Exiles. Rebels. Not all Varkali follow Ikara. Some remain loyal to me. If I show them I live, they will join us." "You sure?" "No," she said honestly. "But I have to try." Elias leaned back against a rock. "Then we go there next." The next day they began the journey to the Black Spine Mountains. The mountains were far north, past dead zones and toxic rivers. Velixa said her loyalists had hidden there, building small camps inside the caves. The way there was hard, they crossed. Canyons full of acid fog. They hid from scout drones. They passed the remains of battles, long-forgotten rusted walkers, old skeletons, broken banners flapping in wind. Elias never let his guard down. He checked tracks. He counted ammo. He watched the sky. One night they found a fallen ship half buried in vines. A Varkali scout vessel inside Elias found a working map system and a data core. He downloaded everything he could. "What is it?" Velixa asked. "Plans. Locations. Patrol routes." She nodded. "This will help, but there was something else in the files." A logged Elias opened it and played the audio. A voice, terrified and broken, spoke in Varkali language. Velixa translated. "Softly, this moon is cursed. We were told to hunt the queen, but we found something else. Something ancient. It sleeps beneath the bones of the world. And now it wakes." The log ended. Elias stared at the screen. "What the hell does that mean?" Velixa looked troubled. There were old legends about a weapon buried deep beneath. This moon, something made before even our time. We never proved it existed. You think Akira's trying to find it? If she believes the stories, yes. And if she gets it, she won't need armies. She'll become one. Elias stood slowly. "Then we better get to those mountains, fast." As they neared, the mountains, the jungle thinned. The trees gave way to sharp rocks and broken paths. Storm clouds gathered. Lightning flashed in the distance. That night, they found the first sign of life. A fire, small, hidden, but real. Elias signaled for silence. They crept closer. Near the fire were 5 Varkali figures, wrapped in cloaks. Looked tired, hungry, but armed. Velixa stepped into the light. The figures jumped to their feet, drawing weapons until they saw her. One of them gasped. "My queen?" Velixa raised her hand. "It is me. I live." The figures knelt instantly. Elias stepped beside her, rifle ready. "Well," he said, "looks like you found your people." Velixa didn't smile. She looked at the fire and said, "This is just the beginning." The Black Spine Mountains rose like sharp teeth against the storm-filled sky. Wind howled between the jagged cliffs. Lightning lit the peaks with white fire. But Elias Ward did not flinch. Behind him, Queen Velixa moved quietly, her cloak flapping. 5 loyal Varkali warriors followed. Their armor was worn, their eyes tired, but when they looked at Velixa, hope returned to their faces. Elias saw it, didn't say anything. They climbed higher. There was no trail, just rough stone, slippery. ledges, and narrow paths. Elias took point, scanning for drones or mines. Twice he stopped to examine old traps, one mechanical, one organic, Varkali traps built to kill intruders. Each time he disarmed them without a word. "You've done this before, one of the Varkali?" said Dot. Elias didn't look back. Too many times. They reached a cave hidden behind a fallen ridge. The Varkali scouts lit small signal fires in front of it. Moments later, figures stepped from the shadows, dozens of them, all Varkali, all warriors. Some wore full armor, some wore nothing but old rags and scars. But all of them looked up as Velixa stepped forward. "It is her," one shouted. A cheer rose. Not loud but strong. Velixa raised her hand. "My people," she said, her voice echoing through the rocks. "You were told I died, that I was weak, that the throne had fallen." She paused. "But I stand before you, alive, unbroken, and I bring a warning. The warlord Akara comes, not just for me but for everything." Murmurs spread through the crowd. "And I bring with me a warrior of Terran blood, human who faced death and did not kneel." She stepped aside, and Elias walked forward. Silence. He looked around. Dozens of alien eyes stared. At him. "I'm not one of you," Elias said simply. "I don't care about your throne, but I know war. I know evil when I see it. Ikara is building something big. If we don't stop her now, there won't be anything left to save." The silence stretched. Then an old warrior stepped forward. He had one arm and deep scars across his face. "I remember you," he said to Velixa. "You spared the Ash clans. You ended the war on the Iron Moon. If you fight with you." More voices joined him. "For the Queen, for Velixa, and then finally, for the human." Elias blinked. That was new. That night around the campfires. Deep inside the mountain base, Elias studied the map stolen from the crashed scout ship. It showed a deep region underground, marked with strange symbols. "This," he told Velixa, "is where Ikara is going. It's called the Hollow Core." Velixa looked troubled. "That's ancient ground. Forbidden. Even we don't go there." "She is. Which means we have to go first." One of the loyalists, a young warrior named Threek, stepped forward. "There's an old tunnel, a shortcut. Dangerous, but faster." Elias nodded. "Show me." They left at dawn. The shortcut was no lie. It was a hell of a path. The tunnel cut straight through the mountains, dark and filled with ruins. Old machines hung from the ceiling like metal bats. Strange symbols glowed faintly on the walls of Varkali language, but older, twisted. Velixa read them slowly. "These are warnings," she said, "about something buried below." "Something that was sealed, like a weapon?" Elias asked. "No," she said. "Like a monster." Thoric led them deeper. The air grew colder. They heard strange sounds, echoes, breathing that didn't belong to them, even whispers. One of the warriors claimed he saw shadows moving in the rock. Elias stayed calm. Velixa stayed alert. They pushed forward. Hours later, they reached a door. It wasn't a normal door. It was made of black stone and metal veins, covered in red glowing locks. It looked alive. Velixa stepped forward. She placed her hand on the surface. The locks pulsed, then clicked. The door opened with a hiss. Behind it was a massive chamber, and inside it, a nightmare. It looked like a heart, a giant beating. Alien heart twisted by metal and rage. It was floating above a platform surrounded by dark pillars. Red energy pulsed through the room like blood. Elias raised his rifle. "What is that?" he asked. Velixa stared, her face pale. "The core, the source of old Varkali power. It feeds on war, on pain. It was buried to stop it from infecting our people." "Again, it's still alive," Elias said. Then a voice echoed through the chamber. "I knew you'd come." Ikara stepped from the shadows above, standing on a high bridge. She looked even more terrible in person, taller than Velixa. Armored in living metal, her eyes glowing like fire. Her voice was cruel and sharp. "I offered mercy," she said. Refused. Velixa stood tall. You stole my people, my crown. You built this horror from the bones of our ancestors. I built strength, Ikara snapped. And you brought a human into our holy ground. Weakness upon weakness. Elias aimed his weapon. Ikara laughed. Do it. See what happens. Elias fired. The blast hit a shield in front of her. The energy bounced off and struck one of the pillars. The core pulsed in response angrily. I warned you, Ikara said. Then the chamber shook. The core screamed, not in sound but in feeling. A wave of pain, fear, and rage exploded outward. Everyone fell to their knees, except Ikara. She stood calmly, arms wide. It awakens, she shouted. Let the galaxy burn. Elias pulled Velixa to her feet. We need to shut it down. Holding her head, destroy the pillars. They feed it. Thuric threw a grenade at one. It exploded, sending a shock through the chamber. The core screamed again. Ikara raised her hands. A swarm of metal drones poured from the walls, half-living. Machines, sharp and fast. Hold them off, Elias yelled. Blasters fired. Screams echoed. Elias rushed forward, dodging a drone, leaping onto a platform, planting a charge on a second pillar. It blew the core dim dust a little. Velixa fought beside Thuric, using energy. Strikes and her old royal blade. She moved like a storm, cutting down drones, shouting orders. They lost 2 warriors, then 3. But the pillars fell one by one. Ikara screamed from above, flying into the air on a platform of energy. You fools. You don't understand. Elias aimed carefully. One last shot. He fired. The energy blast hit the base of her platform. It shattered. Ikara crashed down hard, shrieking in pain. Velixa ran to her, blade ready, but Ikara grinned. You may kill me, she whispered, but it is too late. The core pulsed one last time and cracked open. Inside it was something, not a weapon, not a machine, but a creature, twisted, huge, made of bone and fire and hate. It looked at Elias, it saw him, and it smiled. The ancient creature stepped out of the broken core. It was huge, taller than anything Elias had ever seen. Its skin looked like cracked stone, glowing with fire underneath. Spikes rose from its back. Its face was part skull, part metal mask. And its eyes were alive with hunger. The chamber shook with every step it took. Elias stared at the monster, then glanced at Velixa. She was breathing hard, blade in hand, blood on her armor. It's real, she whispered. Old One, the Devourer. I thought it was a myth, Elias said. So did I. The creature looked down at Ikara, who was crawling backward across the broken platform. Her face, so full of pride before, was now pale with fear. My lord, she whispered, I awakened you. The monster bent low and looked her in. The eyes then, it crushed her. No warning, no speech. Just one step, and the former warlord Ikara was gonna smashed under its weight like an insect. Elias flinched. Even Velixa looked shaken. Run, she said. But Elias didn't move. No, we can't let that thing leave this place. We don't have the strength to stop it. Elias looked around. The mountain was collapsing. Fires burned on every platform. Drones screamed in confusion. The remaining warriors, what was left of Velix's loyal guard, were retreating. But Elias, he walked toward the center of the platform. The monster turned to him. Its massive head tilted. It felt something. Recognition. You sense me, don't you? Elias said. You remember humans? You remember what we did to your kind? The creature let out a sound, not a growl. Wordless echo like millions of voices screaming through time. It charged. Velixa screamed, Elias. But he was ready. He rolled left, dodging the first strike.
Abathai!
The ground cracked behind him. He fired his plasma rifle once, twice, 3 times. The creature staggered, but didn't fall. It swung a huge arm. Elias ducked, slid under it and threw. A grenade under its belly. Boom. The explosion knocked the creature off balance. Velixa joined the fight. Leaping from a pillar and slashing at its side with her energy blade, sparks flew. Black blood spilled. The monster roared, spinning in fury. "I thought you said it was unstoppable," Elias shouted. "I said almost unstoppable," she yelled back. The battle lasted minutes, but felt like hours. Elias kept moving. He knew if he stopped, he'd be dead. His armor was half broken. Ammo was low. His body ached. Lungs burned. But he fought harder. He remembered Earth. He remembered the colonies that burned. He remembered the screams of his squad. This was for them. The creature grabbed Velixa and threw her across the platform. She hit a wall hard and didn't move. Velixa. Number 2. Answer. Rage filled Elias. He sprinted toward the beast, jumped onto its leg, climbed like a soldier scaling a burning mech. It tried to shake him off, but he reached the top of its back. He pulled out his last explosive charge high density. Military grade, unstable. He planted it at the base of the monster's neck. Then he jumped. He hit the platform hard. Its pain exploded. In his leg, the monster turned to him. Elias pulled out the detonator. "This is for my people," he said. He pressed the button. The core exploded. The blast tore through the mountain. Rocks flew. Fire shot into the sky. A black storm cloud burst above the peak as the ancient power shattered. Velixa woke to see the light. She screamed his name, but the sound was lost in the roar. Hours passed. The mountain was still burning when rescue ships from the rebel Varkali arrived. They pulled survivors from the rubble. The medics tended wounds. Drones scouted the ruins, and in the middle of the wreckage, they found a body. Human, burned, broken, but breathing. Elias opened his eyes in a soft white room. He blinked at the ceiling. His chest hurt. His leg was in a brace. Dubes ran into his arm. Then a shadow moved. Velixa sat beside him, wearing royal robes now. Clean, strong, alive. "You made it," she said. "Did I win?" He whispered. "You did more than win," she said. "Saved a world, maybe more." He tried to sit up. She stopped him gently. "The creature's gone. The core is dead. Ikara's forces are broken. The loyal clans are returning to me." He stared at her. "So, you're queen again." She smiled. "To you?" He looked down at his ruined armor, placed on a table nearby. The helmet had a crack down the center. "You're a legend now," she said. "The humans have always been feared. Now they will be respected." Elias shook his head. "Do it for glory. I know." She leaned closer. "You stood alone, against death, against the impossible, and you never backed down." He looked into her eyes. "What happens now? You rest, heal, then, if you want, stay. Help me rebuild." He was quiet. She added softly, "Go back to your world. Tell them what happened here." Elias looked out the window. The stars shone over a quiet jungle. The mountains still smoked in the distance, but the sky was peaceful. For the first time in years, he felt peace too. He looked back at her and said, "Let's see what the galaxy looks like with a real queen again." She smiled. Then from outside the room, a voice called out, "Your Majesty, the council awaits." Velixa stood tall. "They wait for me, but they'll remember you." As she walked away, she turned and said the words that echoed across space and time. "Bring me the human,